sitting comfortably. I think we've gone over all the different positions and, the A, B, C, D as well of breathing, how we can count those breaths, but it reminds us of the A for anatomy. So again, just checking your posture. It's good to feel as though you've got this sort of string attached to the top of your head, just stretching out your spine, stretching you up, opening up your lungs. Notice if you're holding tension in your shoulders. It's a good thing to just check those and do a little bit of a shoulder roll and ease out any tension you're holding there. Just trying to rush here today. And chin slightly tilted toward the chest, not too much. Eyes gently closed, leaving just a little slit to let a little bit of light in. It helps with awareness and focus. When I ring the gong, I'm just going to start to focus on the breath entering through our nose, coming down, filling our lungs and down to our abdomen, and gently leaving again, maybe releasing by letting it leave through your mouth. And as you feel your breath is starting to regulate a little bit, your energies, then you can have it leave through your nose, entering through your nose and leaving through your nose. And if you notice your mind wandering, gently bring it back to the breath. So let's tap back for a moment into what we have covered and in this moment, how it relates to what we have covered. So in essence, just as we sit here watching the breath, in essence, we want to feel good. We want to be happy. in every moment. This is what we really want. Underlying all the choices we make throughout the day, throughout the weeks, months, years of our life, in every moment, that is what we want, in essence, to be happy, to be safe, to be loved. Every action is driven by this wish. But generally, we search for it outside of what lies within our mind. Just as this very moment, we can feel a sense of peace, a sense of feel good, happiness, and that's always there. But we tend to search outside ourselves. So as we become more clear about our underlying wish, we can start to become more clear about the actions we take in order to create the result we really want. In our lives, for our children, how to best guide them to learn to create that happiness that they all want. To create the friendships, to create the days, the kind of day they have at school, or the kind of day they have no matter where they are, and for ourselves as well. And we as the guide can help them to create that scaffolding, the understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. And the possibility that lies within the understanding of the constantly changing nature of everything that creates possibility, limitless possibility, to develop ourselves and to create what it is that we really want in our life. Limitless possibility. It's incredibly powerful and empowering to understand the limitlessness of our development. And to apply this also to our understanding of who we are as the guide for our children, as our own guide. And we create stories. We are narrative beings. We create stories about ourselves, about our children, about our lives and the world around us. But that too is malleable. It is constantly changing. Our brain is constantly changing. Just as one breath follows another, one thought follows another, can start to train our mind through an opening of awareness to the nature of how we exist and others exist, and that potential to start to change and develop helpful habits. Helpful habits. We are habitual beings. We react according to previous experience, but we can start to become aware of that. We can learn to pause, and we can learn to create a new way of responding that's a helpful way of responding. A helpful way of guiding our children to see themselves and empower them to see there's always possibility. And by better understanding the way things exist, including ourselves, we can start to transform the emotions that get triggered from the way we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive others, the way we perceive the world. And that understanding transforms the way our emotions are triggered, what emotions are triggered, transforms the way we see others and ourselves. I have to check and see, did anybody go to sleep? Okay, so that was a quick run through in brief of where we are now. And we didn't get a lot into transforming emotions last week, so we'll pick up from there again. But emotion is sort of always there on some level or other, some manifestation or other. And the interesting thing is that we don't all see things the same way. We don't all respond to things the same way, right? So we all accept that, right? Accept that. Mhm. So when we really start to look back and see how where we've come to is we've come through these different topics, these different threads of what is creating compassionate coaches. We start to be able to view and change our view of a situation where perhaps, another, somebody is speaking harshly to us, right? So somebody comes and they're speaking really harshly. They're obviously got a lot of that frustration and results in anger energy, right? Going through their body. Okay. Do we have a choice of how we respond to that? We do. I think so. Yeah. What helps you to be able to respond to that in a helpful way? Ned, to be curious. Okay. To be curious. To be curious about what's going on for them. Exactly. In essence, does that person want to be happy in that moment? Really? In essence? Yeah, they do. They do. But they didn't get what they wanted. And so it triggered those emotions to arise, right? Anybody experienced that yourself? Ah, it's, it's it's a training. It's a training, you know. But if we want to start to retrain our way of viewing, you know, those difficult relationships, right? And situations, we can do. We can. We can. And science tells us we can. Research tells us we can. But it's hard work because we've been trained and we are responding, that fight, flight, or freeze response, the amygdala, protect. We're protecting ourselves from experiencing any pain, you know, experiencing what we don't want. But in fact, then our responses create what we don't want, right? So we certainly don't feel that sense of happiness and joy when we get triggered and we just explode, right? We're not getting what we want that way. So good thing is we can change it. We can rewire it. And for our children, we can help them through the language we use, through the modeling, through how we model what we do with our emotions, right? We can model that for our children. We are powerful teachers. We're the most powerful teacher for our children. And what we teach them and model for them now, especially when they're young, that stays with them their life. Remember in the first class when we tap back and we reflect on our early life and reflect on what things have stayed with us. Who is that person who really connected deeply with us? What were their qualities, right? And we came up with things like, trust. They were curious about us. They wanted to know us. That unconditional love, right? Believing in us. All those qualities. That stays with us, the power of the messages we give. So last week as well, we were in how your mind creates your reality, right? Perception, right? And the way we perceive ourselves, we're constantly, we've bought into our view of ourselves. We've written our story. Would you agree? I remember when just a little example, you could think back to a time when, you know, maybe you'd been with a group of people when you were young, maybe in college or even earlier, and with your family even, and then you go away, you move away, you have all these different experiences, you come back and they're relating to you as the person you were. But you're not that person anymore, right? We change, experience changes us, right? That's the way that we grow and evolve, and we can continue to evolve if we continue to be aware, self-aware, and tell ourselves stories, change our narrative the way we want to change. So we did last week we did write down, I think it was 3 to 5 things that you would like to change with your narrative. How would you like to restory yourself? And it's not making up stories, by the way. It's not making up stories. It's switching your view to something that's more positive. We all have a view of ourselves and we've got the deficits. We tend to be deficit oriented. Deficit oriented. Do you agree? We tend to be deficit oriented. And so we try to change that all the time and tell ourselves, or look for praise, right? Look for praise. Look for people to say good things about us, right? But we can decide what it is that we wish to develop in ourselves, and we can work at that, and we will change ourselves. We are changing, right? And remember that we have that limitless possibility. And how we story our children. What is the story? What is our view we're holding of our children? Because we know the view we hold of our children and each other and ourselves creates that person, influences the way they see themselves, right? So it's always good to be aware of just what are those, what are the messages, in a sense, of what our children are doing. Are we tending to correct their negative behavior? Or let's say, I try to not use positive and negative, but, behaviors that are not serving them well, are not going to serve them well in their life, right? Those behaviors. Are we focusing on that and not so much focusing on the positive, on the helpful behaviors they're developing? And continue to just watch where you're focusing. It's our job to guide, but to watch what we're focusing on and how we continue to guide them with actions and behaviors that are not helpful for themselves or others. Definitely, we must do that, but also be very much focusing on the positive and recognizing the positive. And we brought in, I brought in last time, things that you can do. And I think children who are in the program are going to be making their little rainbows today of all the positive qualities. Not all of them. There's many positive qualities, but we have 7 we focus on. And this is very helpful to, this is the Heart Jewels user guide. So it's a little booklet with some ideas how to use it. And then we have the 7 little bags with 10 of the colored jewels in each one that represent different qualities, and the heart jar. And it's a good tool to have at home. And so every time, maybe you set a time, actually in the evening's a great time to do it, to recognize, and as a family, think about it. Hey, how did your day go today? Did you have a good day today? Did you notice, anything that I did that you think I did pretty good today? What was helpful? Did you notice if I did anything helpful? Then you can go back to, I noticed you being really helpful because you were so patient when you were waiting for me to finish my work so we could go to the park. Whoa, you were so patient. I'm going to put a white jewel in the jar. That was awesome. So focusing on those positive reinforcement. When we do this kind of thing, it's helping with the training, right? It's helping us to focus on the positive as well, and for them to focus on the positive, right? And so you build up this jar, you fill the jar. When it's full, you can have a celebration. And also, I think very helpful, and it's got in the little booklet, is to think about ways that these powerful rainbow qualities we've developed, fill the jar, how we can use those rainbow qualities to benefit others, to do something powerfully positive for others. What could we do? And brainstorm together. But these little reinforcements are helpful, with making the change happen, right? Because what normally happens and what we get stuck on too is the FFF, fight, flight, or freeze, and that triggers cortisol stress. And that triggers the ways that we react in our through the day in our life, right? So to start to see the positive, remain curious, as Ned oh, are you okay? Oh, and pick them up and oh. And the child would like, there would be a pause and then they'd burst into tears because mom was giving them the message that this was a big deal. This is a scary thing. This is a traumatic thing. And the child learns that. And they learn that from what we model and our reactions and our responses. So a helpful way maybe is somewhere in between, you know. Oh, they fell down. Oh, where does it hurt? Oh, let's give it a rub. Let's brush off the dust. Okay, you okay? Walking okay? Are you okay? Right? It's just life is full of those bumps and bruises and, you know, incidents that, right? But how we protect, guide, but not train them to feel vulnerable, to feel like they're a victim, right? So we are giving them messages all the time with our responses, our language, our behaviors. We're modeling. Yeah. So those are some things maybe to think about because that's going to help them emotionally too. Those more vulnerable emotions are not going to get triggered the same way. And if they see that the way to help is if you fall down or you hurt yourself, the way to help is to come in and say, oh, are you okay? Brush down, give it a rub. They become helpers for others, you know? So that's how actually understanding these things, they start to become empowered and they start to also be awakened and aware through curiosity. They start to be awakened and aware of others' pains and difficulties. And that is a foundation for empathy. That is empathy. And what do you think that person is feeling when they like explode like that, when they get really upset and angry? What do you think's going on? What do you think happened? Or do you ever explode and get upset and angry? Yeah, me too. Why do you think? What happens? When do you get angry? And be careful of the makes. What makes you angry? Be careful of that. You know, you know. When do you get angry? Sometimes. What happens that you get angry with or upset with or sad, right? Sort of be curious. It's like deconstructing the emotion. I remember when some children and discussing with them, well, this thing about he made me angry. Oh, he made you angry. How did he make you angry? He said that I wasn't his friend. Oh, you weren't his friend. Wonder why he said that. And and then those words, you know, does he always say those words? No, but he doesn't, but he did this time. Oh, yeah, and you didn't like hearing those words? No. But then you got angry. Then you got angry. So how did the angry from him come into you? Did it like run along and when you weren't looking, jump in and then jump in through your ear, jump in through your nose, mouth? How did it get in you? If it was him and those words that made you angry, it was the words, sound, deconstruct sound. Where is that sound now? Does it exist? Where is it? Sound waves. Talk about the science of sound waves, sound, of speech, of sound, and it comes in, and then you hear it. And then why does it sometimes become anger in you? And do you have a choice? Yeah. And what is anger or what are those emotions? Sadness. What is sadness? Where do you see it? Does it stay forever? Is it permanent? Does it change? Is it a color? Is it a shape? Is it solid? If a doctor goes in there, can he find it? Oh, there's that. There's that angry. Or there's that sad and take it out. Some things to help them too is, you create your peace corner, right? Your little peace space, right? With all some tools in there. then in ways that they can start to just, work out that, decompress, work out some of those feelings. A good thing to have is, well, one of the things I put together, because I was teaching in Europe actually, and they didn't know what these Zen boards were. Sometimes they're called Zen boards, but it's where you get this it's a certain, there's different ways to do it. But I put together these little I call them reflection boards. And so this you just paint with water and it disappears. I don't have a glass of water here. A little bit of water. And so then they might be feeling angry, sad, frustrated, whatever. And they can just go into their little peace space and they can paint whatever they feel. They might paint a sad face. They might just scribble over the whole thing. And then they watch it disappear. Last week they made the shakers, the glitter shakers. Thank you. The glitter shakers. And the same thing. They could go in the peace space and they could, and they just watch it settle. They can learn to take breaths. I'll show you that one too. So this is just something I put together. You don't have to have these, but it might be. Okay, might be sad face. Okay. And so slowly but surely, the water dries up and it disappears. And that's like those emotions. They're just moving, they're changing all the time, like the clouds. Like the clouds. So sometimes, it's helpful as we start to, practice. We can practice becoming aware of our emotions and the ones that actually are going to. I think last week at the little program here, they read when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry. You might have seen that one. It's a great one because Sophie does get really angry. And the children have ideas about why too, that mom could have done something different, made a different decision. So cute the way they analyze it. And they got some good ideas, I tell you. They're very perceptive. So so those emotions change. You could get we also make power beads. Somewhere here I have. And we make them in the 7 colors, the 7 qualities. So this is where they can, this we call it the teacher bead, that's clear, it has all the qualities, and that they have that teacher quality inside them. That is their innate goodness. But sometimes these different, emotions come in and take over, right? We all have them. But if we explode in the situation, it spreads, and everybody gets affected, right? It's not creating a happy situation. So we can take space, try to catch it before we explode. And we too, as the parents, these are the parent beads actually. So the children's are smaller. And so we have, patience, generosity, forgiveness, respect, rejoicing or celebrating, compassion or caring, courage. And it takes courage and it takes patience to transform those emotions, those big emotions, right? But we're practicing getting in touch with our teacher inside, all that innate goodness. We've got all those qualities inside, right? And we have to learn from our teachers. And guess who the teachers are? It's you. It's you. So we have to practice as parents. Set up your peace space, set up your little altar, place where you can go, take your time in. Have a timer. It's helpful too for transitions for the children. Use a timer. We're going to go in 5 minutes. Can you get ready to go? Maybe we got to put all our things away. Come on, let's do it. Do you think we can do it in 1 minute? Let's go. Ready? Go. And you can help too. And it becomes a game. It becomes a practice. It doesn't become like parents are, no, 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 no. I said, put your things away. It's a game. You transform it, right? And then they love those little things, the countings. Count. Do you think we can do it in, like, by the time we got to 20? I think we could do it in 10. 10? Okay, let's go. Right? So transform it, transform it, transform it. But give those that time is helpful, counting's helpful, being part of the team, right? Don't you put the things away. Mm. They put their things away. Yeah. They take responsibility and put their things away. So with these, so again, changing, right? So they can hold these like this. It's easy. They might go, patience, patience. And you breathe in, and patience fills up inside you. You could do this. There's different kinds, and there's a booklet that goes with that. Power beads. So we talk about, is the power in the beads? Now this looks very kind of, religious, but I started seeing these, what do they call them? Karma beads and things everywhere. Check out Count at the supermarket, all over the place. It's like, oh, all these sort of movie stars on movies, they've all got their power beads. Oh, okay, let's do our power beads. So we did. So is the power, but we talk about the power. Is the power in the beads? Where's the power? Yourself. Always comes back to you. But it gives you little ideas, this booklet, of how to use, the power beads. But one simple way is, you breathe in, that you get filled with that quality, and then you breathe out. You breathe it all out. All the gray kind of emotion that you don't want, frustration. Breathe in. So on. And you can go around all the beads. And if it's just one of the qualities that you really feel like you need, like patience, go all the way around with patience, right? Or you go as far as you need to, feel you need to, and then you're off running. Put these away or put them on your wrist, it's helpful. So these are tools. They're just tools to help us, right? They're tools. And you can find your own tools too that resonate for you, It could be a certain, puzzle, or working on a puzzle, putting that in the piece place. So see, it's taken a while to get through the sadness, but we're getting there. Yeah. So it's about, we go easy on ourselves. Hey, we all have those emotions and we all can work on it. We also have conflict resolution. And the children absolutely love this, particularly as they get a little bit older. And they can talk more about it, but you can definitely start when they're young. But we have what we call, this got tied in a knot. Okay. So we talk about the shell. This is called, commonly known as the shell and crystal. And this they do more as they get a little bit older, like in the TK, the shell and crystal. Before that, it's primarily using the 5 Rs, but in a modified version of the 5 Rs. Do you remember the 5 Rs? Talking about the 5 Rs? Oh, this got put all together. So we use the shell and the crystal to remember that if we have a conflict that we want to talk about, we want to talk it out, right? We want to talk it out. So we use, we find a space and a time to, looking for my other bag. Okay. Where is it? Sorry about this. Oh, it's under here. That's right. Nope. Got too many things here. No. It's probably sitting back on my table back home. Okay. Not there. Okay. I'll find it in a sec. Anyway, it's about, we've got this 10-step conflict resolution. And it's a card, and on the back, it's got the little commentary. And it's got also woven into it the 5 Rs. And the 5 Rs are just a way of learning from mistakes we make, right? And we all make mistakes. So it's a way of learning from our mistakes. This, if we have a conflict that's not so easily remedied and the children want to sit and they want to talk it out, and adults, and we can do it too. So if you don't mind using crystals, this is symbolic of those inequalities that we have, this innate goodness. Not that just we have, everybody has, right? And this reminds us that. And so when we're the speaker, we speak kindly, right? The way we would like to be spoken to, good old golden rule. And the listener listens deeply. And what does that mean? Well, normally, right, when we pick up a shell like this, what would we do with it? Put it to your ear. So you want to hear the ocean in the shell. So if I was to put it up to my ear and I was looking all around, am I going to hear the ocean, do you think? What do you think? And if I'm like talking, like when I'm holding it here and I'm talking and I'm just looking around and distracted, am I going to hear the ocean? To hear the ocean, you have to hold it really still and you have to be really quiet to really hear. You have to focus. And then you hear the ocean. That's the way you listen when someone's talking to you. I call that the lost art of deep listening. We're very distracted. Notice when somebody's talking, especially if you've had a conflict, we've got our own responses when that person is talking and telling their perspective. We're already countering it in our mind. It's what we do. It's that amygdala again, protecting ourselves, right? So we need to listen, remembering everybody has their own perspective. Let's learn, be curious, learn about the other person. So we speak kindly. So whoever wanted to call a meeting for this conflict resolution, who has, I need a conflict resolution. Okay. So you find a space. And then the speaker goes first. But can they start off by saying things like, you made me angry because you were really mean? Is that what they can say? What do you think? What we helping them to learn to say? What would they say instead? No? Okay. Okay. Or I feel hurt, or I feel sad, or because when I asked if I could play with you, you said no. So we don't come in, you were really mean, and you hurt my feelings because when I said I wanted to play, you said no. You see the difference? You're not going to blame. That's what we automatically do. Automatically we blame. It will get us into trouble our whole lives. And theirs too. If we train them to speak like that or to think like that, right? The victim. Instead, and also we are projecting on that person that they were really mean. They weren't necessarily really mean. And what is mean? you know? So it's deconstructing. Maybe that a child could say, but they have to repeat what the speaker said. Okay, so you felt sad because, or you felt hurt because I said I wasn't going to play with you then. And then the speaker says, yes, if they get it right. Otherwise, they might have to repeat it. And then they switch. And then the listener becomes the speaker. And they tell their side of the story, what they perceived. Well, I said no because I was thinking right then that I wanted to go play, I wanted to go play and like build this like house or, fort or whatever it is. That's why I didn't want to play with you right then. I wanted to do that. And then the listener says, oh, so, and repeats it, right? Yes, agreed. And then you go to, okay, so how can we do it differently next time? What could we do? What could I have done? Right? And you talk about it. Well, next time I'll tell you when I actually want to go and do something else. And maybe I can invite you to come play with me and help me build that. Right? Right? And then the other one says, well, instead of getting sad, I'll just ask you, oh, why? Be curious, right? Oh, why don't you want to play? Sorry about that dinging. Um, and so then that's the way to have the conversation. Does anybody feel like they would like to change that? This is the 5 hours coming into it as well. Yes, what could you do differently next time? Does anybody want to, well, how can we make it better? That's the remedy of the 5 hours. We could apologize, right? And the other one can forgive. And maybe you can both apologize for misunderstanding each other. Could be. And then you've made your commitment, what you're going to do, your resolution, and then you have a you do the high five or hug or whatever way you want to do, to buddies again, and it's all done. And I tell you, it is magic. By the time you get through them, each of them listening to each other, you know, and then talking about what they do differently next time is already done. And they're best buddies and they go running off together. I mean, that's my experience over years. And if you think about it, we as adults, we have a very hard time with that, with having, talking out a conflict very often because we're afraid we're not going to be heard. We're afraid we're going to be the victim. We are going to be blamed, right? And so we're building up our armor, right? We do that, protect ourselves. Don't try to understand what the other person's coming from. You've formed an opinion of what they're doing. So I really avoid things also, by the way, labels like bully. He is a bully. And it's very much about bullies all over the place. Bullies. I don't go along with the bully thing. Mm-mm. You go along with what's happening for that little girl, that little boy. What's going on? Something must be really upsetting them. What do you think it could be? Something's really, tormenting them. They're not happy. Do you think they're happy? Mm-mm, they don't seem happy at all, right? If they were happy, would they be speaking unkind things? Eric, what were you going to say? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They do. They do. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. So, having and developing empathy through curiosity, they all know what it feels like. That's why they can figure it out. They know what it feels like sometimes if somebody wants to play with them, but they really want to go and play and do something else, so they can figure out why that child, doesn't want to play. Or maybe he's feeling a little bit grumpy, maybe doesn't want to play right then. Maybe he wants to play a different game from what you want to play. But that's okay. Sometimes you want to play a different game, but how can you? I remember with some teachers, one particular teacher years ago, and we were talking about inclusion and how can you include others, in a game. And she said, well, it's just normal that that you don't want to play with somebody at some point. And I said, well, normal. What is normal? We can change. We could have a different kind of normal, right? What is normal? Maybe normal becomes, oh, you know, this child wants to play too. Well, there's two of us playing, but what could we do? Instead, it would be normal to invite them in. And you can brainstorm with the children. What can we do? Like that's just, Susie really wants to come and play with us, you know? I mean, what could you do, if somebody else wants to come play? You're enjoying, you're having a great play. What could we do is there a different game we could play? Or there's something we could do? I know they get into the problem solving. They will figure it out. Oh, I know. Well, she could be the sister, or she could be the next door neighbor, or she could be, they'll figure it out, right? But they're using their critical thinking to figure out how to include the person, not just it's normal to exclude. You see what I mean? Then it becomes normal to see how you include. It's a training. It's a way of viewing things. It's a way of, yeah, of understanding from empathy, because everybody's gone through that experience sometimes, right? Of not being included. We are going to be superheroes. We're going to be includers. We're going to see how to include. We're creative. They get so creative of ways to do those things. They get creative on how to share. You know, we've got one ball as an argument over, the ball, but I wanted that ball. But I did too. Okay. We've got two children who want, and how many balls? One ball. What are we going to do? And so on. Well, we can share. Okay, share. How are we going to share? Well, I'll go first. We'll take it in turns. I'll go first. Oh, okay. Well, does that work? What about, does that work? No, I want to go first. So then you problem solve. What are you going to do? Can you both go first? No, and they'll start laughing and they'll get into it and it will lighten up. Shall we cut the ball in half? If we cut the ball in half, we've got two balls, but they're not balls anymore. You know, I mean, just whatever. Get creative. Burst the bubble of me first. I want. If I don't get, you're the bad guy. Scream and yell. That's the pattern, right? That we will, without realizing it, be um, strengthening instead of this strengthening the power of curiosity and empathy. Because everybody knows how it feels. How does it feel when you want to play with something and there's only one and they don't play with you or share it, whatever? So now it's time to take a little, I'm going to release you because you sat there very quietly, sorry, for a long time listening to Pam. Bah, bah, bah. So you could go just get a tea if you'd like from downstairs and bring it back. Have a little bit of a break, tea and pee break. So if we come back in like 5 minutes, have a goal. If it's a little bit more, okay. But yeah, okay. Oh my God. So you're not feeling like you have the space for curiosity. Okay. So what can you do? And I was saying, if your child too is having a tantrum moment, very emotional, you can't try to talk through it when they're in the emotion. And same for yourself. When that emotion's happening, take space. Because you stay there, you're going to, chances are, you'll blow up and the space will be even more full of that energy, right? Yeah. So take space. As soon as you feel like you're okay, you're going to explode or whatever. I know I always talk about the exploding because that's what I might do, you know. Get space. Have a place where you can go to. I say a peace place. Your peace place might be outside under a tree. That's okay. Wherever what is helpful for you, as far as having a space to go to decompress, right? Take that space. Yeah, right. It's reacting like that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Because your heart starts beating faster and it's going through your whole body starting to react and you can feel it. So that's a time to cut out of there. Take space, cool down. Yes. 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 Excellent. That's how we train ourselves. So that mantra in the morning, that's your intention setting. So that's why it's great to have, and I know I brought that big ball when I was going to talk about intention setting, and I didn't really say how we do it. And the children who were here the first day that we had the classes, they decorated a paper plate, and that's that was supposed to be their intention bowl or plate. And then it had a heart in the middle. The next week they got a little purse with the 7 colors jewels, and so those jewels represent different qualities, and then they can set their intention in that bowl. What are they really going to focus on for helping to create a happy day, right? Because that happy day, again, where does it come from? It comes from, our mind, our thoughts, our intentions. So the more in touch we are with the intention that we set for the day, then the more our actions will follow. Actions, our body follows our mind. The mind is our master. We, our mind is what decides everything for us in essence. The mind is what triggers emotions to arise. It's our mind. So we got to train that mind, to create what it is that we really want in this life, in this day for our children, and help them to understand that about their mind, right? Right? Uh-huh.
You can't control it. They are just in full swing in what you do. And she equated it, not to an explosion, but to a tidal wave. And to say you just kind of have to ride the tidal wave and you have to let it crest and wait till it kind of starts subsiding to understand that you're not in control at that point. You just kind of need to. Ours is always focusing on breathing, and
Yeah.
it's like it's not gonna just. You can't just. Although we might think that we control our mind, it kind of controls us. And so
Exactly.
sometimes whenever we do have those cortisol levels and we are in the moment, it's hard. And so just being able to take the step back, have the patience to let it subside, and then
Exactly.
say, okay, tidal wave is gone. Now let's assess.
Exactly. And that's where it's really helpful to have a place where they can go. And it's their space. They can set it up. They can put different things in there that they want to have that help them. It might be, you know, a certain puzzle that they love to do. And somehow putting pieces together in order. It's like, you know, you're refocusing your that energy, you know. Or it might be something like this. Where is it now? Yes. Oh, we've still got a couple dots there. Might be something like that, you know. Or it might be the shaker. Or it might be drawing something on a piece of paper, tearing it up and throwing it in the trash. Whatever. It might be just power beads and breathing it out. Amazing. You know, and that breathing and focusing on the breathing is so universal, actually. You know, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, so it is very helpful, calm the energies, but exactly that for ourselves too. Remember that, yeah. Try to calm before the storm, rather than the storm. Yes.
Um, because if they go there when they're upset or you physically carry them there, if you have a toddler,
Uh,
how how do they not learn to associate that space with like a punishment or, they're never going to want to go there again, or when they go there it actually makes them more angry. I don't know. I'm just curious because we've been searching for more of a solution
uh-huh.
for when he's just too overwhelmed and just needs to ride it out, or, you know, a space that he can go. But I'm just curious if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's again, it's very much the way that we normalize in a sense. Like sometimes we need space. Sometimes mommy needs space. Sometimes daddy needs space. That's where I often say for you to set up your peace spaces too, you know. And it's about them setting up theirs. So it's not a place of punishment, it's more a place that they've actually created that feels good to be in. So we don't set it up for them. Maybe we can, help them with it. So again, modeling, if you're modeling, I think it's very helpful. The other thing is, if a real big tantrum happens, maybe they need to just go outside and run it off. Maybe they need to go outside and, they might have a log that works, a log and something, a big stick that they can pound on the log, when they get really, really angry. Get some space. I think the outdoors is magic for a child. You think even from the youngest, a little baby, you know, who starts crying or getting upset, or a little toddler, you take them outside and, oh, listen, birds. Wow, I think they can hear you. Right, it's birds. I wonder, do you see them? I hear them. Listen, something like that. It just, and just opens up their mind. They can get out of that emotion. So there's something about, I know acknowledging the emotions, not saying they're bad, but they don't feel good. Nobody really wants to stay in those feelings, right? So to speak about it more like that, let's go, yeah, see if we can breathe those feelings out. Or let's go outside and run around and scream them out, you know. So it depends on the level, what the emotion is. Is it full-blown tantrum and screaming and yelling, and helping them and helping to, just like with ourselves, start to notice when it's escalating a bit. Okay, you know your children. You can get sensitive to, okay, I can feel this building, and help to change it at that point. Or, what's happening for you right now? What are you feeling? You know? So get into it before it explodes. because it'll build, 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 build if it's not being acknowledged, and they need help. I think tantrums, in a way, it's just sort of screaming out for help. So, and you can't really do anything much except maybe hold them, say, I'm here for you. Once we get all that screaming, yelling out, mommy's here, daddy's here, a hug, but maybe they don't even want to be hugged, oh. So, so those are different things, and see what works. But sometimes with a really big tantrum, they just want to go outside. Outside is a great place. Let's go run it away, run it off. And when we run, it'll all disappear. It's the mind that can get rid of it, and sometimes it's all through your body, their body. And it really takes a long time, but it's not a punishment. And to demonstrate it's not a punishment, you do it too. I mean, are there any parents here? I'm about to really prostrate to you if you do not get frustrated or angry sometimes, Somebody? No, don't. Frustrated, angry? Whoa. Excuse me. Whoa, that's amazing. but if you do, I mean, you need to demonstrate too. I just need a little space. And you talk about it a time in. I don't like timeouts. Time out. It's sort of, that's punishment. Time in is we're going to our peace place, and it reminds them we have that inside. We're going to get back there. We're going to get back there. We're going to get back there. It'll all settle. Those shakers are good, helpful, right? You know what I mean by those? And there's a lot of different kinds of things that you can find, like kind of I talked about this before, like those lava. They look like a mini lava lamp. And it just kind of moves, and then you can turn it upside down and watch it go again as many times as you want. But there are different things that will work for different children to help to, recenter, refocus, and de-escalate. It might be, like I said, it might be a favorite book, even. It might be, crayons and paper. So different tools that you can bring in them for them. But the point is that nobody likes to hear, mommy or daddy, exploding or big tidal wave, because it affects everybody. So we talk about that. Yeah, we all need space sometimes. So, you can go to your peace place and get some space. Mommy and daddy needs to go too into my place, our peace place sometimes. So don't be afraid to do that. They'll understand, and they'll find they're safe. They're safe. Give them the message you're there for them, when all the angry goes away or all the, shouting goes away, you're there, right? Check in with them. How's it going? Mommy loves you, daddy loves you, you're there. And it's kind of in a way, so it's not punishment, like go to your room, can't come out. It's not that. But they learn to not affect the whole group. They learn to take their space, right? Because we don't want to come and affect everybody. Like empowering them, yes. Yeah. Oh, good. Rocking chair. Yeah. 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 And sometimes maybe they're just having such a good time in there, they don't want to come back out for a longer time. Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. Take a minute, time in, So those are things that, don't feel bad about it. And it's like it's normal. We all need that time. We all need to take a minute and a time in sometimes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so one of my girls is explosive. So I mean, it's not even possible sometimes to
Yeah.
kind of see it coming. Something can happen and she just loses it. And what was really helpful was just kind of exactly that, just giving her tools, showing her things that were, whether it was hitting a pillow or, I'd go outside and be like, just go outside and, but just lots of different tools. And she was
Yeah.
very quick to understand. And, her mum's very good at it. And also just saying, we need, we're going to take space. So the role modeling, huge, showing tools, whatever it might be, depending on the child, and outside. And now she's amazing at it. I mean, she'll lose it, and then she's like, "I need space,"
Yeah.
and she's just off out the door.
Yeah.
Just goes outside, and sometimes she's a few minutes and she's kind of ready. Another time she's out there for like an hour. She's just then playing. Just turns into play, and she's just like out.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just, the role modeling and the tools were really helpful.
Yeah. Oh,
Just an awful, terrible explosion the next day, and it was a real doozy. And then when he was finally calm, he came out and he saw the glitter jar. He's like, "Oh, I should have used my glitter jar." And then he went and set up his peace space on his own.
Oh,
And
great.
it's really nice. He hasn't used it yet, but he was really thrilled. He's like, Feather. He had all these things to.
Oh, great. Yeah. Wonderful. So it becomes like what do you call it? It rather than punish, it becomes like a sacred space for them, and it's their own. They set it up, you know. We're not forcing them to set it up a certain way. We offer different ideas and tools. So it's all about empowerment, but guiding them with, to be empowered, right? In a helpful, positive way. Is that positive again? Helpful way. So that's a lot about emotion. Anybody else got something to add? Got great ideas? No. So let's see, maybe we should work on our mandala at this moment. Did we do anything on our mandala when we started on emotion last week? I don't think so. But we're going to work a little bit on it today before we move on to empathy. So let's have a little reflection for a moment on what we've talked about on emotion. Let's go back in for a moment. Centered. So just let's reflect for a moment on emotion. What is emotion? Why do different emotions trigger in our mind? Everything comes from something. Where do emotions come from? What are some of the triggers that you feel you have that trigger emotions that you'd prefer to not be triggered? You'd like to transform those habitual ways of responding. An emotion, in essence, harmful emotions arise from not getting what we want, what we think will make us happy, whether it's words that we hear, expectations we have that are not met. So we don't have the feel good. And we tend to blame external causes for not having it, whether it's another person or people or the situation. But in actuality, those emotions are not static, they are constantly changing. And our mind creates those emotions. Our perspective creates and gives rise to those emotions. Previous experience triggers those emotions. The way we're perceiving the situation in others gives rise to those emotions. But in fact, those emotions are fluid, constantly changing. And our mind, in essence, is like the clear blue sky. Clear blue sky. And emotion is like clouds moving across the sky. And underlying those emotions, some of those clouds may be dark clouds, thunder, lightning. But all the time beneath those clouds is the clear blue sky. The clear nature of your mind is still clear. Just perceiving. But the thoughts and the emotions, and the stories, and the way we interact with the world is constantly changing. And we are the masters of our mind. We can start to take time, take space, go back to that clear nature of our mind. And wait for the clouds to clear. Rather than exploding and activating a big thunderstorm. And remembering that every being has that same nature of mind beneath the clouds and the constantly moving thoughts and stories and projections. So we're going to reflect on this and write down in transforming emotions, transformation. What are some of the things the reminders and the things that we would like to remember and build into our home, into our life, for ourselves and for our children, in order to understand in reality, the nature of emotion, to empower our children and to empower ourselves. So when you're ready, you can jot down your thoughts from the reflection in the next section of transformation. Okay. So now, the last two to cover, empathy and compassion. And we've been talking a lot about empathy anyways through this last transforming emotions, having empathy for the person who's obviously not happy and having a really hard time. And true, sometimes we might need to get space from that person, right? If we're not ready to be able to be curious. So be gentle on yourself too. What can you manage? But all the time, if we look and reflect a moment on our mandala so far. So have a look at your mandala. Let's reflect on that for a minute. Of all of what we have done up till now, and if we go back to our role model, that was the first section we filled out. From that point, and really reflecting on that, role model and their qualities, do you think empathy and compassion start to be nurtured back there? Then we go to how we create intention and start to look at actually, if we start to practice and become aware, and we start to practice, will the magic start to happen rather than waiting for other people to do that and getting in touch with what we really want? And analyzing, do you think everybody wants that? Do you think everybody wants to be happy? Are we starting to nurture empathy? Then seeing next step, right? Interconnection and understanding the power we have through our actions. And that everything that we have and enjoy is dependent upon the labors of many. And we can trace back, and this taps back into our very, to reflection on empathy, how everything we have and we enjoy, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the building we live in, depends upon others, many others, right? Many others. So what can be nurtured just from that interconnection, understanding that begins is empathy, gratitude, empathy. You think so? And then the fact that it's changing all the time. Yeah, that we're all in this together and it's all changing, and what we do actually changes the way the world is, changes the way our home is, changes the things that we do have an effect, and constantly changing. We talk about also growth mindset, that you can work on anything you set your mind to, you can work on it and develop it, right? Rather than I can't do it. I believe in you. I believe in myself. Empathy, everything's changing. Everybody has that ability. Perception, same thing. Do we all see things the same way? Again, right? We're all in the same boat. We all have our worlds going on inside our mind based on previous experience. Understanding that, and understanding that all the time we have this same essence of being. We have this same ability to change our narrative and live a happy life, much happier life. Change our stories. Don't focus on the negative. Build the positive, right? Build the helpful. Get rid of the harmful habits. Build helpful habits. And everybody has those qualities and abilities and essence. We're all the same. Again, empathy. Then, same with emotions. So empathy, is it being nurtured all the way through with all of those elements, do you think? So we encourage and tap back. So at Tara, we have a framework. This what we're going through, basically. It's what we frame all our thematic curriculum around these 7 steps to knowledge, strength, and compassion. But empathy and compassion are focused on at the end because we're learning, we're using our critical thinking all the way through to analyze, and it's nurturing on a very deep level through understanding, right? It's nurturing already empathy from the very beginning. And for us, with our journey together, empathy all the way through from even seeing reflecting on our role model. Look at the quality you put in the very center in the beginning. So that quality, as we go around, do you feel that all of what we've been exploring actually will manifest that quality? Will strengthen that quality? What do you think? So empathy is something, it's a quality of being. And they say, right? Research shows, they say, research shows, and particularly Dan Siegel, he's the interpersonal neurobiologist out of UCLA, and his project is called Mindsight. His research he did was on one of the aspects of it was on attunement. Attunement is attuning or connecting with another person deeply, connecting with their story. You can actually attune to somebody else through listening to them, being curious, being interested. Listening triggers that same part of the brain as is triggered with empathy. Just being interested in another person and giving them your time and your focus. Being interested. And if we go back to your role model, you would see that that's what they did. That's what that person did. So for you to give that time and in our busy schedules to really listen to our children, to discuss, to think about, to ask them questions and really listen to how they're thinking and what they're feeling and, and to bring in those discussions and ask them again, what do you think that person is feeling? Do you think the animals want to be happy too? What about animals? Do you think the ant wants to be happy? Do you think the bee that's really, or the yellow jacket that's really bothering me, do you think it wants to be happy? Or is it just trying to bother us? Be curious. Because they'll get to the point, if you go up to an ant and you go near an ant, just like this, near it, it's going to try to get away from you. That demonstrates that they don't want to be hurt, right? Do you think there's any creature that wants to be hurt? Any person that wants to be hurt? We're all the same. Everybody wants to be happy, just the same as us. So we care for all creatures, great and small. Right? Not because we're bigger than them, we step on them, right? Does that make sense? Especially for a little person, they understand that because they're littler. We're bigger. We don't want to harm them just because they're littler, right? I mean, it's logical, right? And there's stories written from the bug's perspective, but we treat everything carefully. If there's a bug or a spider in the house, yeah, we want to move it from the house. So there's, we make bug buddies. Bug buddies are where you just have you can get a glass, but a bug buddy with ones we make, you get a little plastic cup, punch a hole, tie a string, and on the other end you have a piece of cardstock or something, and you can decorate it. We've got this little step-by-step how to take care of the bug buddy, how to take care of the bug very carefully. And then you put that under, slide under, hold, take it outside, make some wishes for the bug to be happy and safe, and then put it in some other place away from your house, as far away as you wish to put it, and put it outside. Yeah. But we don't need to kill things if we don't want them in that certain place. We don't need to push people out if we don't want them in that certain place. Right. So how to have empathy, how to be kind, and how to understand. Through understanding and curiosity, you can connect. And there's some wonderful stories about animals that want to be safe and want to be happy and have empathy for their loved ones and for animals outside of their species as well. It's amazing, you know. On these parent cards, there's some, lists of some, books that are great to demonstrate that, to reinforce that. But again, empathy feels good. It's oxytocin. You connecting with somebody else just by listening, by having conversations, discussions. You're connecting deeper. That triggers empathy. And to talk about others and where things came from, again, empathy. So do that. Build it into your daily rituals at home, reflecting on all that we have to be grateful for at the end of the day, right? What are we grateful for? I'm grateful for my bed. It's so soft, so nice. And I'm grateful for, my dad and mom. I'm grateful for, having a happy day. Grateful for the food I ate, right? I'm grateful to all those people who do those things for me. Thank you, everybody. Empathy, appreciation, empathy. And we're so lucky because we have bed, we have a mom and dad, we have food. And a lot of people don't, and a lot of animals don't. So then they can become superheroes. How can we help those people who don't have a comfy bed? How can we help those animals that don't have enough food or that are in a dangerous place? How can we help them? So there's lots of ways that children can become active superheroes in the world. So you could do, like I say, say if it was something like this, you can use your superhero powers of kindness to benefit those who give us so much in our life, but don't have very much in theirs. Analyze where a lot of our clothes come from China. What's China like? Analyze and have your children to start and who are the people that make those things, and where does that stuff come from? Where did our family come from? See, the children start to see themselves more as a global citizen. Their ancestors. Trace back your ancestors. They came from other countries. What was the culture like? That's part of your ancestry. Wow. Then there's so many they can learn about those other cultures. And again, they'll start to feel more connected to those cultures. They'll feel connected because they are connected. It's part of their ancestry. The invisible threads that bind you to the past and to those people and to those cultures. I think travel is fantastic for children to travel to different cultures, to learn about cultures outside of where they are born and where they're growing up, where they're being raised. Open the mind, open the heart. And they'll see also so many people, even around here. I remember when I first came to this country, I was shocked to see people on the streets, living on the streets. We didn't used to have that in Australia. We had it in the third world countries, but I never thought a country like America would have people living on the streets. So they are aware, they see this, and how can we help? And sometimes it's overwhelming, but little ways that they can help. This little boy, I remember, maybe I might have told you this, and he was Tara, and it was like he was maybe 5, 6, and he loved drumming. And now he's in his 20s, maybe late 20s, and he still loves drumming. And he's doing that. He's over in Spain, I think now, in a school, especially for drumming. Anyway, but he said he told his mum, they were walking down Pacific Ave, and he said, "All these people, they all need stuff, Mum. We have to give money. We have to give money. We have to." She said, "Well, we can't keep giving them money, but what else could we give? Maybe you could earn some money. What could you do?" "I can drum." So he took his drum down to Pacific Avenue, and he's put a ball there, and he drummed, and he got money. And people gave him money, and with that money, he decided he wanted to get socks for everybody because it was cold and they didn't necessarily have socks. So he got socks, and then he went and handed all those out. Okay, that's empowering. He's aware. He's not, "Oh, we don't want to be around those people," but empathy. How fortunate, we are, and they are less fortunate. What can we do? Compassion. So it's empowering. Empathy is like loving kindness. It's the foundation for compassion in action and actually doing something and feeling, I can do something. I want to do something. I see a need. I want to do something. I can do something, and doing it. And brainstorming, what is it that you can do to make a difference? So let's take this last couple of minutes before I release you. We've gone late. We've gone 10 minutes late now. So if you wish to do that here now, so you remember. And I really love this. I really love this quote on empathy by William Butler Yeats. "There are no strangers, only friends I haven't met yet." So I love that. Can contemplate that. And at some point, hey, we were all strangers for each other, right? What does it take to connect? Not very much. Just a kind word. I often say, you can connect. Connect with, I remember this great story that Daniel Goleman told this story, get Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence guru through the 90s. And he said he was traveling he used to catch his bus in New York City. And he said, most of the vehicles, the buses or the trains, and everybody's kind of just reading their paper or whatever, nobody's smiling. And there's this one bus driver, and he'd welcome everybody when they get on the bus. "Oh, good morning. How's your morning going?" Whatever. And he would connect with every person who got on there, just a smile, a kind word. And he said that bus ride to work was so joyful. Everybody started chatting to each other, making jokes. And then they got to work, and then they were happy when they got to work, and then they brought that happiness in there and would affect other people there. Simple as that. Just the power of one person to change people's lives and connect deeply. Okay, so maybe jot down a few things, or if you want to leave right now, you may do so. And if anybody wants to wants to order any of the materials, you may write it down here. And I do have a shop online, or you can write to Jessica and let her know what you want to. There's an online shop, but it needs to be updated. CreatingCompassionateCoaches.org is the website. There's online trainings there too that I do, but there's a little shop, so you can have a look at some of the things there. Parent cards are here. I've got a few sets of parent cards, but thank you very much. Hey, to all of you, I rejoice. You hung in there through my long raves. Thank you very, very much, and for all your care and your love and that you gave up this time to come in and spend this time reflecting on parenting and to be the best possible parent you want to be. So thank you so much. I rejoice. Thank you. Okay. All right. And have a great rest of the weekend. Yes, Latif.